Yes. And start the broadcast.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning. Good morning to welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us on today IBT Online's webinar. Today's Go Global, Go Online, Florida Online Global program. The webinar will be starting in exactly 3 minutes time. So thank you very much indeed for joining us, and we will be starting the webinar shortly. Well, hello everybody. Welcome again. Thank you for joining us today to IBT's online Go Global, Go Online webinar. We are presenting from Miami here in the offices of Enterprise Florida. The Florida program is Florida Online Global, and it's going to be all about going global with website localization. So thank you very much for joining us. The webinar will be starting in precisely 1 minute at the top of the hour. Thank you. Right, hello everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for joining us. It's the top of the hour, so let's get started with today's webinar. Let's get started talking about the Florida Online Global program, and we thank you for joining us. Today we have the huge pleasure of being here in Miami in the offices of Enterprise Florida with Manny Mencia of Enterprise Florida, and joining us from London is Susanna Hardy of IBT Online. So we have a great program lined up for you, and our objective is to provide you with lots of useful information and takeaways to help you, Florida exporting companies, grow your exports and your international businesses successfully. So there are going to be some really useful takeaways, and sitting next to me is Manny, and Manny has something of a cough, so you can hear that in the background. Manny will be introducing the program shortly. But before we get started, a few moments of housekeeping. Do know that this webinar is one in a series of Go Global webinars. All you have to do is go to www.ibt.online/resources webinars for a list of webinars to come and for those that have been recorded over the past 2 years. This webinar will be approximately 45 minutes, a brief introduction by myself. I'll be scoping out the program, and then I'll be handing over to Manny here sitting next to me on my right, and Susanna over in London. The expert speakers that we have and to outline this program, all about Florida and all about the online program. Please do know that there will be 4 polls. We will be asking you to participate, so please get ready with your mice, get ready and be attentive, and we'll be asking your opinion. There will be time for questions at the end, so please go to the question box. You can see it at the bottom right hand there, that plus with questions. Don't hesitate to ask questions and then we can respond. Also, there is a chat box if you wish to share ideas and responses with us. Finally, at the end of the webinar, there is a survey. So we ask you please to look at the survey, respond to the survey. It'll help you, help us to help you going forward. And do know that you will get a copy of this recording and slide deck. This will be with you on Thursday or Friday after we have curated it. So let's get started. I take this opportunity as we move to the next slide to show you and talk to you a little bit about Manny and a little bit about Susanna. So there we go. There's a picture there. You see there's Susanna on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, Director of Client Services, and Manny, Manuel, Manny Mencia, Senior Vice President, International Trade and Business at Enterprise Florida here. A few words on Manny for those of you who have not had the huge pleasure of knowing and working with Manny. Manny is the Senior Vice President of International Trade and Business here at Enterprise Florida. In 2009, EFI, that's Enterprise Florida, received the President's E-Star Award for Export Promotion Excellence. That is the US's highest trade development honor. Manny currently serves as President of SIDO, that's the State International Development Organization, a national organization of state trade development agencies. He also serves on the board of Florida Export Finance Corp. And Trade Center Miami and Trade Florida Partners Alliance and Florida District Export Council. Manny is the consummate global business advocate. He's an international trade expert and a fountain of knowledge, and it's my pleasure today to be presenting this webinar. For your information, just last June, King Felipe VI of Spain awarded Manny the Order of Isabella the Catholic for his work in expanding business ties between Spain and Florida. A few words on Susanna. Susanna, our host representative from London at IBT Online. We're lucky to have Susanna with us today. Susanna is IBT Online's Director of Services and heads up our global operations, focusing on helping companies use the internet and the IBT Online global range of services to develop their businesses internationally. Susanna is international by definition, being half German and half British. She was educated, has lived and worked in the US, that's up in New York, as well as in Europe, that is in Brussels, London and Paris. Susanna speaks German, English, French and Dutch, and she brings her expertise today to the online program. Oh, 2 words on IBT Online. IBT Online is a private company. IBT stands for International Business and Technologies Online. We've been in business since 2002. Our online program provides website localization and international online marketing services to help companies grow their sales, their brands, and their businesses online globally. IBT Online works with companies to establish and manage their global presence through website localization and marketing. So this sits so well along Enterprises Florida's mission, the state's primary entity for trade and export development, supporting over 61,000 Florida companies that export. And the Florida-based companies that are looking to expand internationally can take advantage of a comprehensive export assistance program, and Florida Online Global is the subject of today's webinar. So without more ado, I hand over to Manny, and Manny will say a few words on Enterprise Florida and why they launched the program of Florida Online Global.
Manny. Thank you, John. And thanks everyone for joining us today. I looked at the list of participants, and I think many of you are clients of Enterprise Florida or economic development partners of our organization, so you're familiar with any of our programs. But I think it's good to reinforce the fact that Enterprise Florida, as the official economic development of the state of Florida, has the mandate of helping expand Florida exports and help Florida companies diversify their exports throughout the world. Our goal is to be able to provide a platform for Florida companies to find new clients in new markets around the world and to help our companies create jobs through export promotion. Now, we deliver a variety of service to Florida exporters. Many of the people in this call have used those services. You have been with us on trade missions or trade shows. But I think it's important to point out that over the course of a typical year, Enterprise Florida's international unit provides support to between 2,500 and 3,000 separate Florida companies, doing everything from providing export counseling and advice, market information, customized market targeting for Florida products. We do approximately 25 international trade events every year, plus 20 additional educational events. This webinar is a good example of that type of domestic educational event that we do. We maintain a network of offices around the world, in 12 different countries around the world, partner with partner organizations as Florida Export Finance Corporation to assist Florida companies to ensure that they have access to the financial resources to support their export sales. Enterprise Florida also publishes a Florida Export Guide and maintains a Florida Export Directory, which is free for any company to advertise on. And provide a whole variety of other services, including a very robust program of trade grants, again designed to help diversify our exports for Florida companies. Now, we're extremely happy to be entering into a partnership with IBT Online. This is a brand new service that I believe it's going to help some of our clients take their programs and their trade programs to the next level. We believe that this program meets our criteria of helping a Florida company expand and find additional clients into new markets. We're excited to be working with IBT Online, and I'm going to ask John to expand and Susanna to expand on the program.
Manny, thank you very much indeed, and that's a perfect moment just to say we're going to launch a poll. Here's the first of the polls. So here's a little poll, please, everybody. What's your opinion on this? Here you go. Related to what Manny was saying, does your company already use the export assistance programs run by Enterprise Florida? Please. Now I can give you back some stats. 43% are saying yes, 29% are saying no, 22%, so 33% yes have used the programs occasionally. Well, that is great. So I'm going to say, here we go. This is the end of the first poll. And then what we're going to do is close that down with a thanking you for this first poll, and then I'm handing over to Susanna.
Thanks very much, John. And Manny, thank you very much indeed. This is a really great pleasure to be here today and talk to you about Florida Online, how we can help companies build up a website for their international business, for their exports. So, and I would really encourage you to put your questions into the question box. We've got time afterwards. So just getting straight into things, what I thought we'd do first is I started making this slide about what do localized websites do. and what is the point of this program? You know, what is the objective of this program? And obviously, the objective is to help exporters grow their business internationally. I started listing the kind of things that, you know, your export website, your localized website does for you. And it just really struck me that apart from the part that it's multilingual, these are all things that any website does for you. Your core domestic website is open 24/7. It's the big tool that you use for your e-commerce or for communities. It does all your social media marketing for you. Basically, it builds your brand awareness, your credibility, the trust that you need for the buyer's experience. So, you know, anyone looking to buy anything today, even my kids, when they look to buy anything online, the first thing they do is go and look at the company that they're buying it from. So any prospective buyer from you is going to go and look at your website and say, who is this that I'm buying from? And suddenly it struck me, well, that's what the website does for you in export markets. It's of course what it does for your core markets too. I would argue it's more important in your export markets even than in your core domestic market, because out there in the big world, they might not know you. Whereas you might already have a good reputation in the U.S., you might not have that same reach. And your website is your single best tool to build your brand internationally and to get the confidence that you need for the buyer's experience. Let me put it this way. If I was a German company, let's say I'm a German company and I'm looking to sell my German product into Florida, I mean, you'd think logically the first thing I'd do is create a U.S. website. And that sounds absolutely logical to me. Well, what we're proposing exactly the same for you guys is to build you German, Mexican, Japanese, Chinese websites that you can use to leverage and own your online space in an international business. Now, what we've done is to split it and make it real simple. We've split this into two options. The first option, option A, is it's a really easy template for companies who are looking to who have identified, who are already exporting, who are looking to increase their business in an existing market, to help perhaps an existing distributor leverage their sales, to really make a big splash at an international trade show, something like that. And we've designed this to be very attractive because we really want you to embrace this project. So we've designed this as full-on as we possibly can. You get, for this option A, you get 2 international websites. You could have, you know, I don't know, a Portuguese for Brazil and a German for Germany. Let's say you have those two. You target those two websites, those two countries. We'll create 2 websites that are fully translated in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, and in German, and are optimized for those markets so that the search engines will find you well and look at you well and say, oh, there, we like that, we like those, we like the words they're using, it's well done. So it's not just a pure translation, it's an intelligent translation based upon your business. After that, we're going to also try and localize it a bit better by perhaps adding some additional links to in-country associations and any other links that we can find to your industry. If you've got distributors, we can link them in as well. After that, we're going to try to, you know, test it out online with you, see that it all works, give you a little bit of understanding as well about how the system works, how it's a very easy content management system called Expression Engine, which works best for international. We're going to give you a little bit of training on that, and we will host it for 12 months. At the end of 12 months, you call us up, we'll renew. But, you know, that's already a very, very strong start. And the budget for this, for the 2 sites, fully translated and everything else, is $12,000. Now that, as I said, is, you know, it's a deliberately attractive offer to try and get you excited and on board, because they think this is a fantastic opportunity. And Enterprise Florida thinks so too. And they're basically saying, we think this is such a great thing, we're going to pay half of it. So companies, effectively, the net cost, $6,000 gets you 2 international websites and search engine optimized and reporting through Google Analytics and training on how to host it or how to access it and change it. So any changes you want to make during the 12 months, easy. The slight limitation is that we're limiting design. Basically, we're saying we're not doing a redesign of your existing website. We're doing this design. We're taking the design you already have, so we're not doing a new design. But apart from that, you get 2 fully functional, fully embedded, localized export websites. The second option we have, sort of an option B, is totally open-ended. It's basically for saying, right, if that's not enough, if in fact what you need is something you want to have a lot of rings and bells on that. You want perhaps an area where your distributor can load up product. You want an e-commerce ability on it. You want a closed network on it. You want also some help on design. You want to change things on it and so on. And you don't just want a sort of limited number of pages. You want your entire huge website out there. Well, then that's a little bit harder to put in a cookie cutter. So that's a fully customized website that we can do for you. And again, Enterprise Florida believes strongly in this and are willing to put the same amount of money against it. So this is an open budget. Depends on how many pages you want, how much you want translated, and what accessories and apps you want on that website. But basically, it's a very transparent costing analysis that we can do for you. So those are the 2 options that we have, and I'll talk through those options a little bit more in the rest of the slide presentation.
Susanna,
right now, I want to talk about something very specific. Hello, yes.
Susanna, could I jump in and can we try another poll then? This will be.
Yes.
Super. This will be second poll. This is a poll, please. Everybody, there you go. Grab your mice, get ready. This one is going to be directly targeting what Susanna's just been talking about. So here we go. We launch it. And we're asking you already, do you, have you walked down the road? Do you have localized websites for your export markets? It's multiple questions, so you can say to us, how about domains registered, translated by a native speaker? Are they mobile enabled? That's extremely important today internationally. Have you completed search engine optimization market by market and have active relevance? So do you have all of that? So let me give you some feedback. 60% are saying to us that the domains names have been registered, mobile enabled, 40% have active relevant social media. I want to say I'm very impressed. Well done, everybody. It is very impressive. I'm going to therefore close this poll now, and I thank you for that information. We'll give you that feedback when you get the slide deck. So Susanna, I'm closing that poll, and I'm thanking you all very much.
Thanks very much, John. That's interesting, actually. You're further down the road than some of the expos we talked to. I'm very happy to hear that you've at least registered domain names internationally. The next slide really is a little bit of patting ourselves on the back. I hesitate to put it in. I just really wanted to say this is a well-trodden path. This is not something that's new. You know, a lot of companies do this already and do it very well and do it very in a very sophisticated way. We're not advocating that everybody does it to the point that, for example, Apple does. They have like 120 different websites across the world. We don't know, not that many companies needs that, but at least that you take a good strong look at your key export markets to start with. Where can I really increase my footprint? Where do I absolutely need to have and own that online space? So I want to talk to you first about what is a localized website and what do we mean by that. We kind of break it down into sort of component parts to make it sort of easy to understand. And I guess the first point that we have is really about that it's country-specific content. And this can really talk about, you know, it's about text, terminology, case studies, and so on. So this can be anything from culturally relevant to units of measurements and monetary systems, and so on, so that you're not talking in feet and inches to someone in France who understands meters and centimeters, for example. This sort of thing. The second one is obviously tweaking design. And I've put an image here of what a road might mean to someone who lives in Scotland and a road to someone who lives on the West Coast, or Route 66. So you don't have to change the total design of your website, but we do often advocate that you are sensitive to cultural differences in design and that we are aware of this and work it through in a localized website. The third part is an obvious one, multilingual navigation. And this is, you know, we typically use those flag icons that you see here, and it's really important to highlight the fact also that your company is really multinational. So we tend to sort of adapt the navigation layout a little bit for different word lengths and different languages. Now some languages have very, very long words, some are very short. But you know, it's all these different languages that you can put on your core website to make sure that people are aware that you have these other websites. And with that goes geolocation. Now obviously you're configuring a hosting server and website that automatically detects where the browser where the person's coming in. So you can redirect any visitors to the relevant sites. That is really important to enhance like what's called user experience in the websites and things. And it can also extend the reach of country-specific sites beyond the boundaries of a single country. The example I often give is, again, for example, in Germany. Now, Germany has a population of 62 million. A lot of the Czech people along the borders speak German and will go on the web in Germany to find things. A lot of the Poles along the German-Polish border also speak German and also use German website. A lot of Dutch also. So in fact, what you're looking at, if you include the Austrians, the Swiss Germans, and the neighboring countries, peripheral countries, you're looking at about 100 million people who are very happy looking at German websites. So a population of 62 suddenly goes to 100 million when you've got good geolocation. Geolocation also can work the other way around. We have a client, for example, who knows that 9/10 of their clients are based in 2 cities in the United States. And you can configure websites today to target individual cities, let alone a country. So that's really important. John also mentioned mobile friendly. That is an absolute must in today's world. I was doing some work in China. Over 60% of, more like 70% of all internet access, not just e-commerce, but all access in China is mobile. Pretty well the same statistic actually in India. A lot of these countries, bypassed the computer, the PC stage, and went straight to mobile. And today, even in the UK, in a mature market, a more mature market like the UK, shopping now is more mobile than on a PC. So it's really important to have the mobile-friendly design right from the start. Content management system is kind of a little bit technical. It has to do with the software that you build a website on, and that's really important to have a good one that works on international websites. We've done a lot of work on that. We've done a lot of research, and we have strong advocates of we have strong opinions on this, basically. There are some content management systems that just don't work on an international basis. All the websites that we will build for you on option A or option B function fully in international languages and international designs. So that's very important. Hosting, very important to host in your local country. It's a very good thing. Good for lots of reasons, particularly speed of upload. Another thing that we look at very closely is regulatory requirements. This is something that's going to come up more and more. If you're involved in Europe, you need to be very aware of what's going on in the regulatory environment of the internet. And even in countries where the regulatory environment is much looser than the United States, we are seeing everywhere in all countries that it is getting more sort of more front of mind to the authorities, to companies, and so on. It's also a proof that you are aware of what's going on in those markets, and that you have a secure web policy. So that's the thing that, again, that helps build trust. Obviously, domain names is the number 9 thing we put up there. That's really about protecting your online brand. I was very happy to see so many of you already owning those. But it allows basically country-specific marketing and tracking any visitors. So again, in the options that we're looking at, the very first thing we'll do is make sure you own the domain names in the countries that you want to target. Now, some of those domain names you cannot buy because you might not have an office there. But we can generally find ways around that. Either we'll buy it for you and repoint or whatever. So there are ways of getting around that. And finally, our 10th little one there is social media. Looks like sort of Angela Merkel pointing to it. You know, social media now is not an option. It's a must. It's targeting international audiences in their local languages, in their own languages, has an enormous effect. So we post, you know, any blogs you might have, any posts, social media in the local languages to really maximize the use of social media in the different countries. And again, it's certainly an option B. That is something that we would look at very closely. And even for the option A, the smaller option, we would definitely sort of, you know, give you some advice about where's the best place to go on for that. I wanted to give you also a brief, just a quick look about optimization. And it's just drilling down on one aspect of international localization. You know, most of you have your domestic websites based in the United States, and you're probably, you know, your tech guys, your web people have optimized it probably for Google. Now, Google has about a 66% market share in the United States. But let's say you want to go to South Korea. Let's say your best client ever, your best distributor ever, your best, hottest prospects are all based in South Korea. Well, then really you should know that you have to be also optimized for something called Naver. Naver has about an 80% market share in South Korea. Baidu, you know, Google, let's say, has a 2% market share in China. Baidu has over 90%. So, you know, you've really got to choose which search engine you need to be optimized for. Now, all search engines are sensitive to and are looking for, you know, the key is really good content. They want you to use certain words that work well. They want you to be highly descriptive. They want you to have good quality content, and content that is recent, that is in depth, that's real. So all of these things we can help you with in option A and option B for the international websites. And obviously we will be optimizing the websites for the specific market that you want to target. Now, last thing, just quickly on global marketing and global social media. Again, it's just one of the aspects, but it's something that we want to highlight from the very beginning. If you put it this way, if you're going to build these wonderful websites, you're going to have to use them. And using them means allowing some kind of social media, some kind of dynamic on them. Even if it's publishing your videos in English, it's fine. You can always add some subtitles in another language. That's really easy to do. You know, one of the first things you need to do for any social media campaign internationally is identify the right social media platforms to use. Not all markets use the same. Let's say you want to go to China. Well, it's no good using YouTube if you go to China because it's banned. So you really need to look at the Chinese ones, and some of them now are really amazingly dynamic and interesting and very rich. You know, WeChat is a fantastic platform that you could use. LinkedIn is used differently in markets. Facebook is used differently. Some countries really only use it for social media, for personal use, and some countries use it also for a lot of companies. So again, these different platforms are important. And the way, you know, why you do this, the clear objective is basically lead generation. And it's a very, very reactive way to make sure that you are generating the right leads.
Susanna,
John,
thank you so much. Can I jump in again, please?
please.
Okay, well, look, thank you very much for that summary. I'm sitting here with Manny, and Manny and I are looking, saying, let's launch that third poll. It's absolutely related to this, so please, everybody get ready. Here's our third out of 4 polls. I'm launching it now. It's about how do you market internationally. Now, we've heard Enterprise Florida, the international trade shows, the number of those, the online social media. How about paid advertisement through distributors, manufacturer reps, or visiting prospective international customers? Please give us your feedback. I'm going to give you some of the feedback here. The strongest contender is attending international trade shows at 75%, and the second is visiting prospective international customers. Well done you, that's a lot of travel, that's a lot of good outreach. And the third one down here is through distributor manufacturers reps. So that's very interesting. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to close this poll. This is the third out of 4 polls. Susanna, back to you.
Thank you very much, John. That was very interesting. Before we sort of conclude, and I've left a bit of time for some questions and some further details about the program, I really just wanted to, just summarize it in one way, and then I was looking around and I just found Woody Allen, and I just felt like he said it all. What can I say? It's really, I mean, the most important part about the web and the internet, about getting engaging prospects, engaging your sales force, is just being there, just making sure that in those markets that you're targeting, no matter where they are, that you show up, that you are a visible, viable prospect on the horizon, that if someone is looking for the kind of product or service that you produce, and that if you're in that market, they find you easily, and they like what they find. So I just had the thought that, Woody Allen, well, he said it all. So you're on a quick little poll. This is my last poll.
Yeah, Susanna, that's great. Absolutely. So in this interpretation, it means showing up is being there, it's being online, it's being globally online, so that when somebody's looking for you, they can find you. They find you easy to do business with. And well, there you go. Okay, here's our poll. This is our 4th and final poll, after which we're going to hear the horn. So this is a launch. Right, everybody, please get out there. Is Woody Allen right? Do you think he's the main man? Definitely, absolutely, definitely. I'll tell you what, there's a little bit of feedback. 85% say, 80% are saying absolutely, and 20% are saying definitely. So, well, there you go. It is all about being there. Please do be there, do be online, do get online in your markets. That's the 4th and final poll, at which point I'm going to say, there you go, that's the horn. The polls are done, and back to Susanna.
Great, Tom. Thank you very much. Just to conclude then, one of the big questions is, so this great offer that Enterprise Florida has made available to its exporters, who's eligible? How can I get it? So there's a couple of things basically. So the minimum qualifications basically. You've got to be located and registered in the state of Florida. That makes sense. Got to be in business for a minimum of 2 years. I think that also jives with us too. This is not for someone who's just starting out in business. Someone who's just starting, they really should get on their domestic website first. But if you already have some track record and are keen to go further abroad, this is a fantastic way of doing it. So the product has to be produced in the States, or the service is produced within the States, and you have to employ not more than 500 people. So that sounds fairly easy, very, very broad, so it can be any kind of sector, any kind of type of business within those very, very broad, very generous parameters that Manny and his team have set up. Now, in terms of how do you start, well, in our view, you start by really contacting your local regional trade managers, and I've listed them up there on the page, and as John said, you'll have this slide deck later on in the week, but I think you all know your regional trade managers anyway. They're very active within the whole state of Florida, and I'm sure that you're already in touch with all of them. So it's as easy as that. They have and the time frame, by the way, typically we can do option A within, I'm going to say within 2 months. So from the start point to going online is typically about 8 weeks. There you go. John, I've left a bit of time for some questions, if there are any questions that have come through.
Yeah, there certainly have. Susanna, thank you very much indeed for all of that. Thank you for bringing us that information and bringing us up to speed in terms of the contacts within Enterprise Florida. And again, thank you for Manny sitting beside me. There are many questions. Please know that your questions are registered. If we do not have time to respond to them now, we will get back to you directly at a particular point in time over the next days as we're going through this. But first of all, Manny, what about there are so many questions here, but I'm just going to pick out one or two for Manny, one or two for Susanna as we move on through and talk about this. But Manny, the questions about currently using EFI programs to help with international trade shows. Can they apply? Can I apply for several different EFI programs at once?
John, yes, the answer is yes. I'm assuming the question refers to our grants program, our target sector grants programs and our gold key programs. Companies are eligible to utilize a mix of these grants programs. Every company is eligible to apply for at least 3 grants every year. So absolutely, if a company can conceivably apply to participate, to utilize one of our target sector trade grants, for example, which offsets parts of the cost of going to a trade show somewhere in the world, and also apply for one of our website grants, for one of these grants that we're working on together.
Good to know. So that, I mean, Enterprise Florida is clearly stepping in there with many, many helping hands at the same time to help you be successfully internationally and globally. Thank you for that, Manny. Susanna, a quick one for you, a technical one. How do my international distributors fit in with this? They run our in-market website presence at the moment. So there you go. That's a nice one. How does that work?
I think that's a very good question. We get this a lot. And in fact, it melds really well, and the feedback we get from the distributors is really positive. So if you've got a good distributor in the market and you say, I want to help him by giving him a website, I mean, that's basically what you're doing. You're saying, you're doing good business, I want to give you extra marketing support. We will build a website. We'll be in touch with the distributor. We'll work with the distributor. Happy to do so, so that the distributor can also use that website when he needs to show clients and prospects your business. What we often find is that companies who only have relied on their distributor's website eventually become very frustrated, because they'll look at their product and they'll see it, cheek by jowl. They'll see it next door to a competing product. And if you build your own website in your target market, then you're in charge of how your product looks in that market. So you're giving your distributor marketing tools, but you're deciding what kind of tools. So you're not leaving the online presence just to your distributor, and that's, I think, really important to figure out in terms of your strategy. Leaving everything just up to your distributor can cause problems on the long term. He might not have the same objectives as you. Thanks, John.
Yeah, Susanna, good answer. Thank you. I mean, I do get that. And really another quick technical one. How about brochures and press materials on my websites? Can I add them?
Oh, of course. Just like any website. Even on the option A, we can easily attach PDFs. Just know, however, that if they are in English, we would recommend that you say on the website, you can download this brochure, but it's in English, just that you don't have false expectations. Just on a slightly related note, we very often find that things like videos or even short captions for brochures work very well. So leaving the whole video in English and then just having a short caption subtitle that's translated, that's absolutely acceptable in most markets. And same thing with a brochure. any kind of pamphlet that you might want to put on, you don't have to translate an entire technical document. It's perfectly allowable not to do that, and clients understand that, as long as you're clear about it. And then maybe you could add something which highlights the relevant parts of it. Thank you, John.
Yep. Okay. Well, look, looking at the questions, there are some really good technical questions. There was also a question about contact details. The contact slide, as Susanna said, will be made available. And of course, the Enterprise Florida website has more information, but we will get this information to you, including telephone numbers. Just a quick word on resources, online global information for you and your teams. Do be aware that there's a lot of free information there, so don't hesitate to please go to have a quick checkout of some of the webinars and ebooks. This is available for you. Do be aware as well that if you are considering India, look at the webinar. There's one tomorrow, free of charge. Hop on that and listen to some of our colleagues in India explaining about the online possibilities of doing business in India, one of the world's largest markets, the world's second largest market. So there's more information to be gleaned and had. Moving on to the next slide, just to make sure that we can talk about other resources that are available to you. So don't hesitate to look at sources. There is an enormous range of information, but we have tried to centralize this. We curate information regularly on our resources pages so that you can have a single source to access information all about helping you go online and go online globally. So with that, I think that we're going to move to the last slide, and I'm going to ask Manny to say a quick word as we're beginning to get ready to close down this webinar. Manny, thank you for joining us. By the way, I would like to say Manny has made a huge effort to be with us. Manny has been suffering from something of a flu at the moment, so having him online today, Manny, I want to thank you.
And likewise, John, I want to thank IBT Online for the partnership. We're very excited about this program. I want to encourage Florida companies, those of you online and the multipliers that are participating. I want to encourage you to apprise companies in your respective areas about this opportunity. I think this is an excellent program. I have seen some of John's team work firsthand with other states, and I think this is a great opportunity for Florida companies that want to expand their market share on their target markets.
Well, Manny, thank you very much indeed for that. Really, and do know from our side, IBT Online is ready. We're here. We're currently working with Florida companies building their websites in China, in Mexico, in Brazil, in Germany. We've got a great program that's kicked off. Please join in this program. And now, as I begin to conclude, I want to say thank you very much indeed, everybody, for joining us. We hope that you have enjoyed the webinar and found the information useful, and that you have lots of takeaways that'll help you think about the online global possibilities that Florida is bringing to you. I always like to close out with a little factoid, and this is an interesting factoid about the U.S. Department of Commerce. They have just announced 6 new international markets for their commercial digital attaché program. So that means that they're going to South Korea, Indonesia, Mexico, South Africa, Germany, and France, on top of what they've already done in ASEAN, Brazil, China, Japan, India, and the European Union. The role of these commercial officers is primarily to help American companies navigate the digital environment. So please do know the Enterprise Florida program is really very much ahead of the game. The Enterprise Florida team have really put together a great program with the Florida Online Global program, and it's absolutely destined to help you go into your target markets. Do know that there will be a survey shortly, so please stay online for a second or two. And I really, from my point of view, I just want to say, Manny, thank you very much for doing a great job. Susanna, thank you very much. And here we go on behalf of everybody. There you go. A bit of applause. That is from everybody for Manny and for Susanna. I want to thank them for doing a great job, and I wish you a great day, and we will be launching the survey right now, and you will be receiving a copy of this webinar in a very few days. Thank you very much indeed, and goodbye.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you, John. And thank you, Florida exporters. Happy Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.